My name's Brad Phillips. I own Studio 101 Recording and Studio 101 Media that is producing podcasts for awesome companies like the Barndo Show.
It ain't nothing to get a text at 11:30 at night, be like, have you heard of this random human being that's producing cool music?
I don't mind telling you, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I was like young and dumb, like for real.
You were like, I got podcasts in a box. I was like, I need that box. I need that box right now. Is there anybody even close second?
No chance. There is no way. Everybody else is just pretend. Everybody else is just following in his footsteps, you know.
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Barndo Show. I got an exciting episode today because I'm here with my good buddy Brad. So, Brad, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
Cool. My name's Brad Phillips. I own Studio 101 Recording and Studio 101 Media that is producing podcasts for awesome companies like the Barndo Show. And I guess, so I added up the other day, this year is 24 years of the studio here. So almost 25 years, lots of ups, lots of downs in audio production world. That's the only thing we did for a long time is just really audio production. And then really in the last few years, we've kind of expanded to the video and the podcasting part of audio production. And, well, video is a whole other world. My audio production mind, I had to learn a lot of new stuff to get into the video world. That's why I rely on awesome guys like Andrew who know way more than I do.
Andrew's the GOAT of this world.
We're
in your house right now. That's what everybody always asks me. They're like, bro, how in the world how do y'all do what y'all? And I'm like, dude, we hired somebody. we if you want it to be good, go hire someone to do it for you.
Right.
And I can remember the phone call, I've been trying to figure out some way that I could tie building barndominiums into recording an album.
Yes.
Forever.
Right.
And then you hit me up one day and were telling me about the podcast studio that you're building in and all the stuff that y'all are doing. And I was like, this is my chance. So this is as close I get to like dropping a number one country chart.
Yeah.
Get on here and just talk.
Yeah, but we'll probably get into it later. But what people don't know is TJ has a live band performance history from way back when. We might can talk about some of those bands here in a little while, but
I've just been massively successful in everything I've ever.
Yeah. Some good old 2000s hardcore bands.
That's it, man. That's 864 hardcore, baby.
Yes, sir.
To the core.
Yes.
But so let's talk about like your background, man, because like we became friends, but it's through music, and I mean we've worked with each other in so many different arenas, but like the one commonality is just a love for music and not just mainstream music. Like it ain't nothing to get a text at 11:30 at night, be like, have you heard of this random human being that's producing cool music?
Yeah,
and so like talk about that. Like, how did you get so deep rooted in music?
Yeah, and so our ties go back lots of different ways. It's kind of crazy, TJ's wife Hannah, her family was involved in gospel music for years and years, and so was my family. So it's a little bit cliche, but like the church and gospel music and stuff was like where I got started and interested in like literally singing in front of people and playing a guitar in front of people. That kind of started through my experiences at church. And then it just sort of snowballed from there. Like I got to sit in a bunch of studio sessions with some incredibly amazing people in the upstate, in Tennessee, different places. When I was 12 or 13, I was sitting in recording sessions, kind of just soaking it in and trying to learn how the session guitar player guys, how they make, it's like, how in the world do these guys make a living doing this? And then I'm sitting there at 12 trying to figure these things out and trying to observe everything I can, soak it all in, get advice from people who are, way more experienced than me. And it just kind of progressed over the years in high school. I was at Greenville Fine Arts Center, which I was in the guitar program there, but now they have an audio recording program at the Greenville Fine Arts Center here in upstate South Carolina, which is available to high school students, which is wild. Like that would have been like right up my alley, right. If that would have been available when I was in high school. But I think it was a trip to Nashville when I was like 14 or 15 that like sealed the deal. It was we did a visit to Belmont University when I was like 14 or 15. I think I got in the car with my parents and I was like, this is what I'm doing. So let's just like, this is it. There was no plan B. I never applied anywhere else. Like I applied to Belmont and I did an interview and we got in and I got a place in the music business program there. And like, that was just the plan. That was it. Yeah. I mean, in my mind, I kind of was like, I'm just going to live in Nashville like for the rest of my life, and it did. I mean, I was there, 5 or 6 years, I guess we were in Nashville, and I don't know. It was an incredible experience. I mean, the music business type of program that Belmont offers is incredibly unique. There are more programs like that in the United States now, but at the time we're talking, I guess I'm going to date myself, but 1995, we're talking like one of two major music business programs in the nation was Belmont, and the other one was MTSU, Middle Tennessee, which was about an hour south of Nashville.
Right.
And, just go into a program to get the training in like the one thing that I had on my mind that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. It was just kind of that was the best place for me at the time. I mean, and I know you guys talk about relationships and a lot in your business, and I mean, being there at Belmont, living in Nashville has, I've created friendships and relationships that are going to last for a lifetime. Matter of fact, like my birthday was yesterday. Okay, so I get a long string of texts from my college roommates and people that I met while I was there. That'll just be, we'll have those relationships forever. And, some of them are business relationships too that have continued for, we're talking about 25 years ago
right
now, so that's kind of the progression of kind of where I got to here where we are now, I guess.
So talk about getting into Belmont, because getting into Belmont, you can't just love music. You gotta have some background. Like I remember I had a friend that I went to school with, and he was considering Belmont until he was talking about he had to learn how to play the piano, and he was like,
yeah,
and so like getting in is hard. So like the fact that you're like, this is the only option.
Yeah,
that's rolling the dice, brother.
All your eggs in one basket for college, but it was a different climate in '95 than it is in 2024 as far as like costs and program availability and all that kind of stuff. But it's still kind of the same process. Like Belmont has a pretty strict interview process that they go through, and you literally sit down in a room with one of the deans of the School of Music Business, and you have a one-on-one interview, and they kind of want to know what you're all about and where you're, what your background is, and can you play an instrument and all those kind of things. But it's a pretty cool program in the fact that it has different tracks that you can go into. You can go into record company operations, music publishing. I chose audio engineering, obviously, but it was a one-of-a-kind program really at the time, because basically people who were coming out of Belmont were Belmont was supplying the music industry with employees,
right?
And at the time, at that time in Nashville, I don't know how many labels that were there, but you could walk out of the front mansion of Belmont onto Music Row and get an internship. You could get a job. You could get hired playing guitar on a session. Any of those things, you could literally walk out the front door of the college. And it's I felt very fortunate to be able to be there with all these amazingly talented people from across the country, and it's still that way. We've had some students come through that know that I went to Belmont, get some advice, try to network and connect with people there. But there's been several students in the past few years who came out of our area to go there. So
you talking about that Southern gospel time, man?
Oh my gosh!
Now, like you talk about you plug my wife in here, so I got to drop this. Like I was not grown up in that world.
Yeah,
and, I know your daddy was a love music.
Yeah,
and like it was almost like it was indoctrinated into you.
Sure, yeah.
And because Hannah's granddaddy, Marion, like I can remember dating Hannah and going to their church, and the first day there, he's like, "When you gonna get up and sing a solo? Pick you a song. You can get up and sing it in front of the church." And I'm thinking, like, brother, what are you talking? No, like, and he asked me that every day.
He was dead serious.
100% serious.
He was dead serious. Yeah,
every day for 10 years. Like it was, when you gonna get up and sing us a song? You know, but it's just a testament because that's like the glue. Like that was their life. That was what they did, and like they poured everything into that. And so, you know, and then him getting inducted into that Gospel Music Hall of Fame and everything, like that's a big deal. Like so music's like the glue. Mine and Hannah's relationship centered around music to this day. Like we are absolute music junkies, and we listen to everything. And you know, we don't always like the same stuff, but
but what I love about Hannah is a music trivia extraordinaire in my opinion, and I feel certain you could give her like snippets of lyrics from stuff from 20 years ago, and then she would be able to tell you like the name of the song and the artist.
So back in the day, man, on MTV there used to be a dude named Matt Penfield, and he was like that guy, right? Like they'd play a snippet of a song, he'd tell you who it was, who produced it, what year it was recorded, what state it was in. Like that's Hannah. Yeah, I tell her all the time, I'm like, you are the music savant of today, because she knows everything, and it's just all of pop culture. Like it's like she'll be like, hey, you know who that is? That's so and so. He used to be married to so and so, and they sang that one song that. And I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like, how do you have this useless knowledge just stored away like an archive? You know,
that's funny because that's what my wife says about me a lot of times. So why do you know all these useless things? I was like, I don't know. I'm sorry, but one day it's going to come in handy, and you're going to appreciate it.
That's right.
So,
man. So. Fast track a little bit. So you built a studio, right? And so like the cool thing about this is like you were talking about like what in the world Barndominium people want to know about me? Yeah. Well, it's twofold. One is you're the backbone of how this gets delivered. Number two is a lot of people that tune into this are just like business owners, right? Yeah. People that are trying to start something. People that are trying to like build and grow into something. And like I get more engagement and interaction from people that are trying to build the business side than I do like consumers. And I think it's just because business owners are like, their life is on the line. So they'll pick up the phone and call. Exactly. But inside of doing that, like you started this thing and talk about that history. Like it started and what role you had in it when it started versus like over the last 25 years, what it's become. And like, you got a staple down here, man. Like,
well, so 24 whatever years ago when we, my wife and I kind of moved back here, I was going to try to put my degree and all this stuff that I had done in Nashville, just trying to put it to use, here in our area. And at the time, when you're thinking about business plans and all those things, like our advertising plan was the yellow pages, like the literal printed yellow pages, or like an ad in the newspaper, or 20 something years ago we had like bunches of music stores here, so they had bulletin boards. Put your information on the bulletin board. It was a completely different mindset of like how to advertise and how to get business and all those things, and trying to network with people in the style and genre of music that you want to attract to the studio, all those things. And I don't mind telling you, I had no idea what I was doing. I mean, I was like young and dumb, like for real, and just being completely transparent. And we had the studio building was here. My dad and my uncle, myself, and another good friend of ours, Dickie Brown, kind of came in and built all of this building that's here in existence today. And they never really had like aspirations to make a full-time business out of this thing. Not really, because all those guys had full-time jobs and were doing well in their regular
place
jobs.
To lay down gospel tracks.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. Well, my dad actually was like this is kind of a man cave situation for him. He could walk out the back door and come into the building here and, record, do whatever he wants to do. And then, I don't know, I just kind of took it to a whole other level than kind of maybe what they even intended it to be. Right. So over the years, I guess there was about 8 or 9 year run where we did fairly well. The crash of 2008 was incredibly brutal. I literally shut down for almost 2 years and did no music related stuff because it just was not. People didn't have that discretionary income to spend on the recording part of stuff. The social media part of advertising and how to get clients was not really at the forefront in 2008. Right. So it was like it hit everybody I know. So I'm not trying to give you a sob story. It's just the way. There's just a progression of how timeline went, and it was just a really, really bad time. So around the 2010-11 time frame, we were able to try to start back doing more stuff, and it was some church-related stuff with, as the church culture grew, like it's a music production element to a lot of what church culture does now.
Right.
So like live bands, writing music from original music for performance in your church, all those things. So some of that sort of brought us back with some projects that we were working on in 2010-11. And I guess it was 2014, I sat down with my wife and I was like, I really feel like that I need to go all in on the studio. Like no fluff here, just like we're taking out some of our own money, a lot of our own money, and we're dumping it in, redoing the whole building, redoing all the equipment, and we're going for broke, so to speak. So that's what we did. And, 10 years later, the way that we get clients has completely changed. The social media world that has exploded over the, past 10, 12 years is a lot of the reason that we've been able to keep going here the way that we have and getting clients in and connecting with people in all over the East Coast. Honestly, we have people who come from all over to record here with us, and it just still blows my mind. Like, this is super cool and just wild at the same time.
Right.
But I do, I'll interject this one thing, and I think that in any business situation, consistency is an incredible key to what you're doing. And if you can figure out a way to just continually be consistent, deliver a really good product, take care of your clients, all those things, super, super important, huge part of what you do. And so it's been a little bit of I guess to answer part of your question, kind of a roller coaster to get to where we are. And, this year being able to establish a media company that specializes in podcasting and, video and audio and all those things has been a new step for us outside of just the, just kind of the audio production world. And, when I say audio production, I mean, creating albums, EPs, singles for artists, mostly independent artists. They're trying to, they're trying to work through their own career,
right?
Which is a whole other level of conversation, right. About partnering with different artists to help them make different steps in their career. So,
So you've recorded so much stuff and been around. So we're gonna dive in. So what's been the coolest project that you've worked on?
Oh man, there's been so many, dude. It's what we've been fortunate to do is we've worked with several artists that have been involved in TV shows like The Voice and American Idol, and looking back, one of the artists that comes to mind is Ashlyn Kraft. And what's funny about her, and if she ever hears this, I'm going to just go ahead and tell this on her right now, but she came in as a 16 or 17-year-old girl with a guitar, and we stuck her in a booth with a microphone, and she played a song that she wrote. and we just hit record, one pass, and that was it, you know.
Right.
And she had a really cool voice, and it was a decent song for a 16-year-old. And then just to see the progression of how, you know, she was on The Voice, got some recognition coming off The Voice. I was able to move to Nashville, and I mean, she signed with Big Loud. I mean, so she had a major label deal, and just being able to see her in the progression of how, you know, she's recording singles here with us in little bitty South Carolina, releasing them to the world.
She's a hometown girl though, kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
close enough to claim.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, I mean, that's she's just one that comes to mind, but I mean, there's tons of other artists and stuff that we've been able to work with over the years. It's been a really cool relationship.
I know, man. Like,
sure.
And I remember when you're talking about using social media, you know, because you and I went from seeing each other every day to like a period of time I was living in Utah, and like, just I didn't see you all the time,
right?
But on social media, you were doing these live sessions and like had artists in here, and I just remember like I'd turn the Facebook thing on. It'd be kind of, you do it in the evenings, and like, I'd hit play on that sucker and just hang out, and just, it was really cool. And like, and I know that there's more of that now, but you were kind of one of the first people I ever seen doing it. I'm sure you saw it somewhere, but like, it was just that approach to opening up the general public to see a local artist or a regional artist just performing. And it was just really cool, man. So like that, you know, pulled me back in. Like, I mean, I think you and I started having conversations about all kinds of stuff since then. Like, my brain never stops. I'm always thinking of like, you know, I love business. Yeah. I love family, but my biggest love in the world is music.
Right.
And so I'm always thinking like, how in the world can I tie music into this? Like, how can I do this? Like, how can I bring these two worlds together for me? Because I think it's a universal language. I don't know anyone who doesn't like some kind of music. Yeah. You know, and there's just something to it. Like, it's such a release for me. There's nothing I love more than to be on the road and driving, just listening to like my favorite jams, and just, you know, it's an escape. It is a mental escape for me. And I think the whole world resonates with that. Again, genre to genre, but everybody can relate to it. And so like to be in that world, it's just like, it's super cool to me. It's intriguing to me because you get to meet some of the coolest people in the world. Like, and you know, so yeah, I don't know, man. I'm always thinking like, how in the world can I bring these two worlds together for me? And the podcast thing is like my little glimmer. I get to hang out, like, I'm in the studio, baby. You know, doing studio stuff.
But I totally agree, man. Like, and I think I heard somebody say at one time, you know, music connects with people's emotions on a completely different level than like the most gifted speaker, you know, that you could ever listen. You know, you could go listen to a speech from someone or a message or whatever that is moving, but there's always a thing about music that touches your emotions in a completely different way. And I do love the fact that any language, culture, whatever, you can feel it in a different way than you can just listening to somebody talk. Yep. You know, and you're exactly right. You know, when we were looking at different things to advertise the studio, kind of, so I ended up using the video thing before. You know, we were live stream Zoom before like it was cool and hip. You know, during the COVID thing, like, it was like if you're gonna meet with somebody, you're getting on Zoom video or whatever. But like, luckily, like I'd already been doing that for like 3 years, so that also reaches people on a different level. You know, the craving of content that people have, and the video content, the craving that people have, it connects with people on such a different level. You know, and thinking outside the box, you know, I don't mind thinking outside the box some too. And that was huge. Yeah, that video part that we have integrated here into the studio it's been huge. It's been incredibly huge over the past few years. Yeah,
and if you'd have thought back to your master business plan that you had 25 years ago, it was not even part of it.
That was not. It was, honest to goodness, it was a random conversation just sitting in here with a bunch of guys one day. It was like, I wonder what would happen if we did blah, blah, blah with cameras and just show to the world like what we do with session recording. And I was like, cool, let's see what happens. So I just bought a bunch of gear and we set it up.
And it's always the best gear. That's
and
I remember nothing more than coming here and you be in there ripping boxes open, and I'm like, Brad lives the coolest life ever. Like,
yeah,
like you're like, well, I got this thing and it's all this stuff, and like I had no idea. I remember the first time I actually came into this studio, like I did not comprehend the amount of equipment and the amount of like understanding of what it takes to not only record it but to like produce that. And like there's so like, okay, the advancement of technology, right?
Yeah,
you got so many people that are just like at home, you know, recording on their telephone, you know, and it serves a purpose, but there's just something about like, you know, I'll equate this to like the barndominium world, right? There's always a cheaper way.
Oh yeah.
You can build it yourself, and there's hurdles that come with that, right? And at the end of the day, yep, you saved some money, but you did not save any time.
Yeah.
And there's probably a moment in doing it to where you're so deep into it that it's like, I ain't got no choice but to finish now.
Right.
To where you're like, it might not have been a bad idea to hire a professional.
Sure.
And I know that that's something in this world that you deal with every single day is like, you know, everybody and their brothers like, I can lay tracks down with you know, some kind of a digital something, you know, and like talk a little bit, navigate through that, like the difference. Like I know because I'm not the most technologically savvy person. So when you were like, I got podcasts in a box, I was like, I need that box. I need that box right now.
Yeah.
But like lay that out. So like if somebody was listening and they wanted to record an album or, you know, get studio time and how like all the supplemental stuff that you do. Like we were sitting in here right before we started this and we're like listening to tracks from a buddy of yours and that, you know, that is one of the most gifted musicians in the world. Yeah. And his world is playing on other people's music more so than releasing his own. And you have access to that kind of stuff. Like, and you know, we were talking about like one of the churches and like, you know, putting together like Sunday morning music and like the people that were on stage, nobody knew. Yeah. Like we got Nashville recording steel guitar player on the stage. Like, you know, like, but that level of experience and connection that you could bring to the table.
Yeah. And I think that goes for basically any industry, you know, in the fact that if you're a consumer and you're looking for a product and there are some DIY methods these days, right? Doesn't matter, you know, even in the Barndo world, I guess there's some DIY methods. But you know, the thing that I always try to use as a selling point is the fact that, you know, I'm super blessed to have, you know, 4 other engineers who work here with me now at the studio that specialize in all kinds of genres of music, you know, whether it's hardcore, whether it's hip hop, whether it's country. We got some really, really talented guys who have years and years and years of experience of production to get you from point A to point Z to the product that you're looking for. So to me, what you bring an added value to the table of the experience that you have and the equipment that you have access to, and our, you know, the people that you have to work with are not accessible to everyone. So, you know, when an artist comes to us, you know, I can say, hey, here's the things that we can offer that maybe you obviously can't get working on your project at home by yourself. And, you know, it's just, I think it has to do with somebody's coming to us looking for our experience to get them the product that they really need to represent themselves in the best way possible in whatever genre that they're in. So, you know, I think it has a lot to do with people that are looking for an experience with people who are experienced to get the job done that they're going to really be proud of in the end. And, you know, that applies to you guys as well. I mean, like, people are coming to you to look for, you know, a forever home sometimes, and they don't want a halfway job, right? You know, and they're coming to you guys because you guys know how to get it done.
That's correct.
And I think it's applicable both ways. And we do work with artists who are not in the upstate of South Carolina, and it's because we have a product that we put out that they're looking to, to sort of emulate in some way for their career, the style of music that they're in. So,
well, there's a need for it, even in our world. Every day, Jen will drop out all of our social media campaigns, and every day we get a comment. You guys build in East Texas, Northwest Montana, Connecticut. I was at Topgolf last night with a group of guys, and I had 2 guys in Connecticut that were like, "Could you build there?" Mm-hmm. Absolutely not. There was a guy in Wisconsin that asked. There was a guy in South Florida. Mm-hmm. And so what I would say, like, if you're a builder and you're in those areas or you're thinking about it, like, yes, there's a market opportunity for you. Just start. People want to hire someone to do this for them. Mm-hmm. They want to hire somebody that can do it right. But there is a desire for a professional, guided structure. And believe it or not, people want to be told what to do. People want step-by-step instruction. People want step-by-step direction. People want a format that they can follow. And everybody loves to save money. But at the end of the day, more people would rather have their time than those dollars that they could potentially save.
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, if you got to redo it, you didn't save anything. Yeah. But one thing you hit at the beginning of this was consistency is key. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to lean into this podcast and plug you a little bit because, again, I have so many people asking me, like, how in the world? I had a conversation yesterday with a guy in Texas. He was like, dude, I see your podcast. I'm like, how do you see my podcast? He's like, I know that you have a podcast. He's like, I've seen your podcast, and now you're in this room with me, and I want to ask questions. And I was like, well, ask away. And he's asking all these things. And I told him, I said, look, I only have so much time in the day. Mm-hmm. I have a lot of ideas and a lot of things I want to do and a lot of things I want to do well. This is my 3rd or 4th podcast attempt, right? I've done them numerous times. I've done the DIY way. I've tried to buy equipment and set up and do it in my, in a room in my house and make it look cool. And there's so much work that goes into all of the back end process that I do not have the time to give what I want to bring to the table in the content to also do all this and run a business and be a dad to 7 kids at home and like be a husband and be present and, coach and do all the things that I'm trying to do. Right. There's not enough time in the day. Mm-hmm. So one of the things, like, and I got a coach, Mike Claudio, who hit me over the head with this, was I have a tendency to obsess and want to do everything. Yeah. And I don't like to just kind of do something. I want to do it. Yeah. And he was like, you'll never be known for all these things. Right. So my challenge to you is to be known for 4 things. 5 at the most. And so I had to really sit down and think about that. Yeah. So my 4 was, I want to be a good husband. Mm-hmm. I want to be a good father. I want to be a leader. And I want to be a giver, right? I love philanthropy. I love giving. I like, there's never a moment in my life, if there's one thing that's consistent with TJ is if I walk into something, I'm always thinking of how it could be better. Right. And sometimes it doesn't require me to do it. It's just a giving nature. So I always have feedback. But I love to give to it. Like, I know this person wants this to be great too. The only thing standing in between that is like money, time, resources, something. So it's a natural piece. So those are my 4 buckets. For me to be able to do these things, I have to say no to all the other things. Yeah. Right? Like, I want to be a great friend. Yeah. I want to have buddies that I love fishing, man. Like, I want to be known for fishing. Like, I was like, I want to be Bill Dance.
Is that next fiction? You're going to do a fishing show next?
Oh, my God. I would love to. But I just don't. There's not enough time in the day, so those are the 4. So if that's the 4 for me, I go, okay, this podcast goes into that leadership bracket, right? Mm-hmm. And it kind of feeds into this philanthropy part. And again, it bleeds over into the dad and husband thing because I'm constantly challenging like, this is the Barndo Show, but I'll be talking about a lot of different stuff, right? Because at the end of the day, for me, it's more than building homes, it's building people. Mm-hmm. And like those 4 things. So getting back to this podcast idea, to go into doing this, I know that I'm going to drop the ball because I can't be all things to all people. I needed someone to do this back end delivery for me. You guys came in with this package, and the one thing, and I tell Jenna this all the time because she does a fantastic job of like lining up the things and getting outlines and getting the guests engaged and getting them all the stuff they need and answering questions and pulling scuts. She scours the internet to get barn burner questions and topics and ideas, and she's doing most of that stuff. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I can only be good at one thing, and that is to get on here and deliver the content. Mm-hmm. And then having someone that will come in and run all of the back end for me just takes it away. It's peace of mind, and I can be consistent. So, like, what I say is, like, I don't care as much about the content as I do the consistency. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to do this, and I remember you and I had this conversation, you were like, well, here's a couple different ways we could do it. And I was like, well, here's what I'm going to do. If I'm going to do it, I'm dropping one episode a week, every week, and we're going to drop it on the same day at the same time, and it's never going to miss. Mm-hmm. We're always going to do it. So what does that look like on the front end? Yeah. And you were like, that's a whole lot of talking, brother. Yeah. And so we started booking and clustering these things together. And like, I'll come in and we'll just have podcast days where we're grinding in here for 8-10 hours. Like, and it's just, there's a lot of work that's happening. And then my piece is to come in and deliver on the mission. Yeah. And then you guys bundle it up in a box and make it look good online. And like, there's no way I could recreate it without a massive expenditure of time. Mm-hmm. And to do it, I'd be taken away from one of these 4 things.
Correct.
So if you're in the upstate especially, reach out. Yeah. Because you guys do a fantastic job. But there's just power in it. Like, there's a reason why this podcast is presented in a way, because that's not, I've got the stuff to say, but I do not have the gift to present it in such a way. So it's not, I'm not amazing, right? I just I just leverage really high talent, and that's the thing for me. And you guys have been phenomenal to work with, and so like that aspect of it, like there's the only limiting factor in doing something new is yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you said it best, you're like, hey, I got 4 other engineers in here with me, like. There's no way you could possibly do it all. Nope. And but that mindset of how to grow a business, same approach inside of this for me was, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to be consistent. I'm going to be objective. I'm going to have a mission behind it, but I'm going to resource the people that are really good at creating that content. Yeah. And because without it, we would have did like 3 episodes and never did another one, because I just don't. There's not enough capacity. To fulfill all that. So for sure. So yeah, it's been super cute. So. Let me throw a curveball. Here, so what's on your playlist?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we texted about some of them, but this young dude named Zach Top.
Oh my God, dude, he's so good.
I mean, the man. I could just listen to that guy sing all day long.
I do. My kids can sing every song on that album.
Right.
And my wife's like, will you please play something else? And I'm like, I can't. It's been 15 years since I've heard this.
Yeah, and it's just incredibly amazing. I mean, I'm always a huge Riley Green guy. So side note is, we recorded one of the first things Megan Maroney ever did, like almost 3 years ago. Gosh, I don't know. And her brother lives in Greenville, by the way. Her brother Brian is an attorney in Greenville.
That's cool.
And so Meg's new stuff, I've been checking that out. I'm a country guy, man. I mean, it's so, and but what's funny? This I don't know if I've shared this with you or not, but like I'm immersed in so much music all the time, 6 or 7 days a week. There's times when I get in the truck and I'm like, true crime podcast only. Just these people are talking to me about somebody getting murdered in a state park somewhere. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm cool with that. But that's just some days,
And you were talking about you like the Dale Earnhardt podcast.
Oh my gosh, the Dale Jr. podcast is fantastic.
It is great. You actually mentioned that to me, and I started listening to it, and I was like, this is how I know I'm Southern.
Oh, 100%.
I just get absorbed into it, man. And my wife, like I'm a night owl, so at night, like I get the kids in bed, and Hannah's exhausted, so like we'll hang out and chat, and then she'll end up going to sleep, and then I'm like, I'm wide awake. Like I got to do something I got to take this thing out of high gear and wind it down, and so I'll go in my living room and just turn a podcast on and put it up on my TV, and that Dale Jr. one, I watch it religiously. It's like in my top 3 podcasts.
Those NASCAR pit stories that nobody hears and nobody knows about until now when Dale Jr. is bringing them out on his podcast. Man, it's just incredible. I could just listen to it over and over and over.
Yeah, it's so good.
But yeah, I mean, we here at the studio, it's like we had a hardcore band in a while back, and like I'm like I hadn't been in that environment in a long time, so I'm like it's great. We have a crazy cool hardcore scene like in the upstate of South Carolina.
Absolutely.
So just shameless plug for the hardcore people around.
I like to think I was one of the godfathers of that.
You could, I mean, yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right, honestly. But I mean, it's like Tuesday we were working on an EP for an artist she's from like East Coast of North Carolina up that way, but she's like in the Americana world, like the kind of Lainey Wilson, kind of Zach Bryan type stuff. I mean, it just spans the spectrum. We hear all kinds of stuff throughout the month. You never kind of know what's going to be coming through.
Right.
So it's cool though. I like that. Not really like focusing on one thing all the time. So
who's your lifelong artist crush? Like that could do no wrong and hands down the best.
Oh, this is the king, George Strait.
Yeah.
And that was not a shot at Elvis. I'm just saying George Strait is the king of country music. So
yeah,
that dude, man.
Is there anybody even close second?
No chance. There is no way. Everybody else is just pretend. Everybody else is just following in his footsteps.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Well, I mean, I think that's the opinion of most when you look at the number one hits.
Oh my gosh.
It's like every song.
Yeah.
He drops albums like 10 songs. He's got 9 number ones.
Well, I think did I see something where he's coming out with a new record or new single or something. I think he's still at it.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's
I know
my guy.
every time like he did a summer fall tour last year, and we were all beating the doors down to get in because we're like, this might be the last chance.
Yeah, because he keeps saying it's the last one, and he comes back with another one, and so can't keep him down.
No, absolutely not.
Nope.
So that's killer. Well, let's wrap on this. So, if you had to give some advice to it could be anybody, because it's all business. If you're a musician, passion and business meet, and that's how businesses start, right? Mm-hmm. But if you had to give some advice to them of like, hey, I've got this thing, I've got this idea, I've got this, and it could be across any multitude of things, right? But they're like, I don't know how to get it in front of people. I don't know how to take what I've got and get it out and get traction. What would you tell them?
Well, in 2024, content is king. And whether that means you and your iPhone and AI generated, cuts and edits or whatever, if that's what your time and budget allows for, that's like probably the route you should go. But content, and being like real with people, being honest with people, treating people really, really well. And this is some of the lost art that I don't see out of music business students or audio engineering program students. And this is a huge piece of why I think people are successful at what they do. It's like, and I tell people a lot of times when they come in as an intern or whatever, I'm like, we have clients here, man, treat them like you treat your mama, or treat them like you treat your grandma. Like, make them feel welcome and make them feel like important, and go over the top. Do 5 things that they didn't think you were going to do, even though they paid for XYZ. Do 5 extra things, and make them feel special. Make them feel like that you want them to be here. Treat people well. I mean, I guess that's my overall theme of what I'm trying to say is like, no matter what you do, no matter what business you're in, no matter what ideas you have, yes, create the content, make yourself visible, advertise. But you have to be able to deal with people well, make them feel good. And I think that's a huge piece of it.
Well, you hit the nail on the head with the feeling part. And I'm going to wrap this into one of our core values, which is the O in Barndo, is our legacy drives us. And that became a core value. I'm going to shout out my boy Hunter Ballou. He said this, God, I don't even remember how long ago now. And I'm sure he said it thousands of times. But he said this at a meeting that I was at, and it just stuck with me forever, and it changed my perspective on legacy. And he said, everyone has an expiration date, right? And when that day comes, nobody's going to remember what you said or did. They're going to remember how you made them feel.
Yep.
And man, oh man, does that change the objective? You know, like feelings are a weird thing. You can have good feelings in a bad moment, and you can have bad feelings in a good moment. And so identifying the way you make people feel, I think, is absolutely key to success. Because I was talking to somebody. We had a new project manager in the office that's interviewing for one of our satellite locations, and they always holler at me like, "Hey, come over here and give them the core value."
Oh yeah.
And I told him the same thing. I shared that story, and I said, so many times we've had people that in the moment, right? Because building a house is absolute chaos.
Yeah.
And they are so livid. They're angry. They just can't see past what it's going to be like when it's done, and they're just stuck in this moment. And 6 months after they move in and we went away, they pick up the phone and call and be like, "Hey, we're thinking about building this garage or adding this ADU, and or my sister's ready to build." And in my mind, I'm thinking like, man, I never dreamed these people would be calling, because it just gets tense sometimes. I mean, you got a lot of money on the line, you got a lot of things on the line when you're building a house for someone, but and it goes back to that, how you made them feel. Did they feel heard? Did they feel like you, even though their experience didn't match their expectation, how did you handle the disappointment? Yeah. And how did you handle them through that process? And in the end, did you deliver what they were expecting? And that's the overarching goal of everything that we do.
Yep.
And that is super powerful, man.
Yep.
Super powerful.
100% agree with all that, for sure.
Well, cool. And I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag, but we're working on some other really cool stuff to continue to itch my my desires to be popular in the music scene.
Yeah, dude, I'm super pumped about that, because I think that could be a huge thing, especially that hadn't been done. Definitely hadn't been done in your industry.
Right.
But it hasn't been done in our region either, so it could be.
It's not could be, it's going to be.
Yeah, it could be. It's going to be cool stuff going on.
So stay tuned, guys.
That's awesome. So we can just leave them hanging and not really say exactly what's going on.
That's right. You just got to lean in. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button.
Yeah. You have to look, maybe in a few more episodes you'll let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, man. So I'm excited. Well, thanks for coming on here, man, and sharing your vision, sharing what you do here, because again, you guys are an integral part of what we do and the way we get out in front of people. And so thank you. And I love you, bro.
You too. Thank you, bud.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Barndo Show Podcast. If you're watching on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this content, hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And then be sure to check us out on all of our social media platforms at the Barndo Co. Super simple to find us. And then when you're ready to dive in a little more, maybe look around some of our available floor plan options, or take a look at the gallery of our work, or maybe you're ready to connect with our team and explore what it looks like to build your dream barndominium, you can visit us online at thebarndoco.com.